Hey everybody, Doug Walker here. You're probably wondering where the NC is this week. Well, sadly there is not one because I'm actually on vacation. There will be a new one next week, and it won't be an editorial. It'll be a fledged out, a fully done review. So, yeah, no editorial this week. I apologize, but at the same time, I wanted to give you guys something. So, as you probably read in the title, this is my top 10 most attractive female characters in movies, TV shows, whatever. Before I get started with that, just quick plug real fast. There's two cons coming up in July. I've mentioned them before, but just in case you forgot. There's one in Chicago called Anime Midwest. Here's the website and the information on that. Go check it out. Brad is going to be there. Lewis is going to be there. Team 4-Star is going to be there. Malcolm and Tamara are going to be there. Jim J. Roz, and all these great people. Rob's going to be there. So, yeah, check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. CanadaCon is also happening in July. That's been my favorite con so far. I love it. So many good people are going to be there. Like, half of your childhood is going to be there pretty much. Before I start, I should make it very clear that this is not actresses that I'm necessarily talking about. It's very much the characters that they play. I don't know these women, so, for me to say, oh, well, yeah, they're really hot and really attractive, I gotta know something about them. I remember when I did the top 10 animated women's list. I'll get to it real soon, I'm sorry. But some people were saying, well, that's great about the character traits and everything, but how about just attractiveness, just how they look? And personality is like a big part of the attractiveness. And I think I said in my Facebook post, like, if you're judging attractiveness just by how a person looks, that's like, telling someone, don't show me the Super Bowl, just tell me what the score is. That's majority of the fun, is in the personality, is in the person, and not just how they look. So, but yes, I like how, I'm gonna certainly sense if someone looks really good, that's gonna play a factor, but it's not the whole thing. At least it's definitely not for me. And I just think this is fun. I think it's a fun thing to do. It's sort of fun to compare and contrast, and people also talk about the people they find attractive, so blah, blah, blah. I've gone on enough. Let's go ahead and get to the top 11 attractive female characters. Did I say top 11 or top 10? Top 10. It's top 10. Karen Allen from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Somebody was asking me once, how can you find Karen Allen in that movie so attractive? Because Indiana Jones constantly has to save her. And people know I'm very anti-damsel in distress if it's not required or doesn't seem fitting. And in this movie, I really think this is a big testament to her performance because they're right. She has to be saved like a dozen times in this movie, but she is still so badass and still so contributing to everything and always helping out Indy, and she's a tough drinker and she's always finding ways to get out, and she's spunky and she's funny and she's fightful and she's just friggin' awesome. She's like, she's the action gal, and she's just, I can't explain it. I just know a lot of it is in the performance, and nobody would just look at her in this movie, despite whether or not you see her what she does. If you just look at her, like you see a still of her, nobody would be like, oh yeah, that's the chick that Indiana Jones has to save all the time. It's like, no, you definitely get that from Willie from Temple of Doom. That's the annoying pain in the ass that just always screams and goes, oh, but tries to look pretty. No, bullshit. Karen Allen is awesome. I even thought she was awesome in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's like, I wish she did more, don't get me wrong, but it's like, seeing her back, I'm like, no, cool. That's really cool. She's spunky, she's awesome, she gets in the action, she's a badass, even though in the movie she has to be saved a lot. So, I think a lot of it is her performance, and, yeah, Marion's awesome. Marion. It's Marion. I've been fucking up a lot in this so far. Kirsten Dunst in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Yeah, I know a lot of you are gonna be like, really? All that shit you gave Mary Jane Watson in the Spider-Man movies and stuff? Yeah, I still hate Mary Jane. She's a horribly written character. I seem to be finding out more and more that Kirsten Dunst didn't care for the character either. From what I've heard, it's the internet. Who knows? I don't know her, so I have no idea. But Kristen Dunst is one of those actresses where every time I see her, it's like you always see she's doing her best with a role, and it's. I think it usually works. I think she actually is very charming and good at what she does, even in something like Spider-Man. Like I said, I think in Spider-Man 3 is where you start to see, she really can act. That sounds bad, because it's like the roles before she's just given nothing and she's doing her best with it, but in 3 it's like, no, I think she's holding this okay. Like, she's actually showing, the tough side of, being with a superhero when she needs the attention, even though she's given him a ton of attention. But with that aside, we're talking about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That one just felt a bit more realistic. She felt much more like a real character, and I just remember her playing all sorts of different angles in this. I remember her being, really angry when she's trying to stop Jim Carrey from coming in. I remember being very playful when she's just going and hanging out with her friends. I remember her being very hopeful and very sad when, I won't give away too much, but there's somebody that she likes in the film that she tries to hit on and stuff, and I remember how torn apart she is when she figures out something at the end. She really runs the gamut in this, and I think she does it really well, and it just seemed like a very fully fleshed out character, even though it's kind of just one of the side characters. It's not Jim Carrey, it's not what's her name, Kate Winslet, or even Elijah Wood. I think has more screen time than she does, but I think she did it really well. I don't know, the more you find out about her in the film and what she kind of went through and what she put herself through, and she becomes really interesting. There's something about her eyes. She has these very sharp eyes. Like I said, particularly when she looks angry, when she's stopping Jim Carrey from coming in, I mean, they can just become like these death eyes, like just this sharp lasers going through you, but then they can also be like, so kind and comforting in other scenes, and yeah, I think she's really good. I think she's actually a very talented actress, and I know, like I said, I hate Mary Jane. I think it's a terrible character, but I think she does very well in other roles. I think she's good at taking these roles that are kind of nothing and turning them into something, or as best as a Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie can. Kristen Dunst, I'm always like, yeah, she's really good. Well, what's the movie where I always think of that she actually comes through and just runs the full gamut? And that's sort of the one. I'm sure there's others, but that one in particular, I felt like she was kind of, you just saw every sort of side of her. Even as a side character, you just saw her do all these different emotions and these different parts, and she plays them all great. Like I said, it's weird that it's a side character, but I thought she played so well, it was definitely worth mentioning. So, definitely good stuff. Jane Leeves, if I'm saying that correctly, I'm not entirely sure. This is Daphne Moon from Frasier. A lot of it's the accent. I think a British accent is just, it's beautiful, it's elegant, it's just great. Again, there is sort of this, I don't want to say naivete, but there is just sort of this blind innocence to this character and how everything just sort of excites her and she's happy about everything and she tries to always be in the best mood. No, there is a naivete, because yeah, Niles is always trying to get with her and she never catches on. And I don't know, I think in a lot of ways I'm very naive to a lot of stuff, and I know I am, but what's that phrase, ignorance is bliss? There's some truth to that. It can also cause a lot of trouble, and if you can avoid being ignorant, it's like, please do. I at least try. But there is something where it's, I don't know, when you're not aware of so much danger and so much judgment and stuff, you're just kind of naturally happy. You're not thinking about all these things that can sort of come after you or things that might hurt you. You're just sort of going through life, enjoying it. And that's sort of what I get out of her. She's just sort of very, she's happy with her job, she's happy where she lives, she's happy with the people that she works for. And she's not like an airhead at all. She's very much, she's very blissful and she's very happy and she's very simple. And I really admire simple people. I think there's always this thing about, like, if a person seems, very simple, it's like, oh, well, then they can't be good. There's nothing a simple person can offer us. I just think that's such bullshit. Simple people, keep their lives very simple and not too complicated, because they know if things get too complicated, they get out of control. And when things are out of control, that creates stress. And when you create stress, you're not happy. So that really makes sense. I just like that, this woman, she's found a good job, she's found, good people to be with, and she just kind of enjoys herself. It's that optimism. It's that constant, kind of naive, but also trying her best optimism that, I don't know, I really respect. Sarah Silverman from The Sarah Silverman Show. And I know a lot of people are like, that's not a character. And yeah, it is. I think it's pretty obvious this woman knows that, she can say all this really shocking, controversial stuff because she plays kind of a dummy. That's just her thing. She sort of plays like the airhead who doesn't know any better, so she can get away with it. But she doesn't know any better. It's just like nobody has taught her anything. And I think this is one of those cases where it is sort of more the person behind the act. I mean, the character herself is still kind of likable in that she's trying to be good and she thinks she has stuff figured out and she's going to enjoy life, but she clearly doesn't and just says terrible stuff. But will also still kind of try to learn. I remember this one episode where it's so offensive. I think she's getting an argument with this black guy. She says, what's really hard being Jewish? And he says, what's really hard being black? So they decide to switch places and her dress up as a black person and him as a Jewish person. And both the disguises are the most offensive, portrayals of a black person and a Jewish person. And again, I think it works out okay because she's Jewish. And that when she sees him portraying a Jewish person, it's just so terrible. But she's willing to make fun of herself. I really respect any comedian who they can dish out all this stuff, making fun of people, but they can take the exact same amount back and they can throw it at themselves just as hard. Anyone that throws that kind of stuff out there, if they can also make the exact same joke on themselves and do it often, which I think she does, I think it works. So yeah, I think this is one of those cases where I have more respect for the person herself behind the Silverman character. Sarah Silverman behind Sarah Silverman, you know what I mean? That she can just whip up this character and be so confident and say these really shocking things. Shock humor is very difficult to do well. And I have a great respect for people that can do it. Louis C.K. is wonderful at it. I think Sarah Silverman is too. And I really have a great respect that they can just walk that line, but balance it out okay. And I think she does that very well. And I think there is just this sort of liveliness and this experimentation with what she can get away with and what she can't. There's a little bit of the tomboy element in there. She's usually wearing a jersey. I know a lot of times you see her kind of acting, dumb and like an airhead and stuff. And not all her material works either, but there's just something about how smart she has constructed this character to get away with all of this. And why we accept it, and why we're okay with it. I mean, I know not everybody is, but that it is just she doesn't know any better, but she thinks she's being something really good and really positive, and actually she's being something incredibly insulting. But she's really trying, and you always see that in the persona that she creates, that, she is just really trying. She's just talking about this stuff like, well, what? Isn't this how it is? I mean, and she'll sort of bring up these really offensive things like, well, what? That is how it is, right? Is it? And the logic that she creates with that character, you do sort of go, oh, I can see how this misunderstanding would kind of happen to a really stupid person. But you understand, you see how the person, even though they're not very bright, you see how they got to that mindset or that thought about this very offensive subject that they're talking about. So, yeah, this probably is a case where I respect more the person behind it and how she can get away with all that. But yeah, it's very clever, very funny, and she's very talented. Nicole Beharie from Sleepy Hollow. I'm sure I butcher that name, but something I can't butcher is how awesome she is in this show. It is sort of the standard cop showing the person out of touch and out of time around. I always say it's kind of like April O'Neil with a gun, just showing the turtles around like how the world works and stuff. But what I like about her is that even though it is sort of the very standard, safe character showing people around with a tragic backstory that, of course, the person she's showing around will understand and will romance bloom. Of course it will. But what I like about her is that even though she is beautiful, I mean, just a beautiful woman, you never don't buy that she's a cop. Like, you believe it. There's definitely this determination and this focus. Even the tragic backstory that she's given with her sister and nobody believing her, you still buy it. The way she plays it off, you totally buy that they went through this and she sort of had to renounce her sister and she's living with this guilt of doing that. And it's all there. Nothing about her ever seems like, just too happy or too perky or, hey, I'm just here to kind of be the eye candy thing. Like, she really carries this role that is honestly a very standard role, but it's the performance. It's what she brings to it, and she really brings a lot, and I think she does it very, very well. I think she's great at being, sort of the solid to Ichabod in this show. This is a really stupid show, by the way. Everybody knows this. I think a lot of people have been saying, like, this is sort of like the new Buffy, in a sense. I mean, maybe not quite. Buffy definitely had, like, a real cult following, and the stories got really complicated and detailed and stuff. I think this is a little bit more gimmicky than that. But, yeah, I think there's still... It wouldn't work if you just got somebody who was only there to be attractive and only there, just to get, horny boys to watch or something. There's a James Bond movie with Denise Richards as a rocket scientist or something like that. We get it. It's James Bond. All the women are super attractive and hot spies and stuff, but, nobody was buying this, and, she couldn't carry it at all. And I don't think it's just the appearance. I really don't. I think that there is still this weight that you can bring to something where it sounds like you know what you're talking about. And she didn't. And to her credit, a lot of people saying this science mumbo-jumbo and stuff, can't really bring that. There's actually the next movie I'm reviewing. You'll see there's another character I'm talking about that cannot do the sci-fi mumbo-jumbo. So I don't think it's just, oh, hey, that person's too attractive so they can't be smart. I don't think that's it. I think there still has to be this believability, and this woman gets it. I think she really does bring it, and you see the guilt in her when she has to think about her past and confront it, or when she confronts her sister, going back and forth between how much of this Ichabod guy do I believe, and how much is just a crazy man. And I think she does a good job. I think it's really solid. For a role that is so safe and kind of predictable, I think she really brings a lot to it, and I think she does good. Milla Jovovich in The Fifth Element. We all know Multipass, and we all remember the outfit that she wore in this. I swear that doesn't play that big a part. There's just something so cute about somebody trying to figure out how things work that you obviously know. I loved Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I love when all the historical figures they're in the mall and they're just trying to figure out how the world operates. I love that stuff. I just think that stuff is a lot of fun, and it's really cute. And when you have, this woman come in who's sort of like an animal that's constantly on her guard and just doesn't know what's going on. I love it when they put her in the shower and it's going up and she's just looking around and very animalistic. It's just really fun to watch, especially when you know a lot of the stuff is not harmful. And when she finally learns the language and can kind of talk, and I don't know. I definitely went through a phase too where I really liked women with like different colored dyed hair, like the really weird colors. Of course that orange color, and the Supreme Being has orange dreads. I mean, like bright orange dreads. It's like, okay. There was this innocence to her, like I said, just trying to figure out the world, but there was definitely you know, there was the badass qualities in there too. You know, she would constantly, you know, get in fights and, you know, whatever, jump through stuff and constantly jumping off of stuff, off of cliffs and stuff. And she was obviously super strong because she would crash through cars and walls and so forth. And it was sort of just a fun mix of both kind of badass but kind of innocent and sweet. And I don't know, there's just something, maybe there is sort of like that protective nourishment or whatever in men, or in me anyway, that's just like, you know, oh, it's okay, here's how this works and here's how, but then she can also go kick ass and be like, yo, yeah, rock on! So, I don't know, it's a fun mix. It's, the only time she gets a little annoying is at the end when she's like, you know, oh, war bad, I don't want to save humanity because they have wars. Beginning of the movie, the big turtle people come in and they're like, war is coming, we must stop it. It's like, you know what war is! So, you hid it on Earth to protect it from war. So whatever shit's going on with us, you guys have had it much worse. So yeah, that was weird and pretty stupid. But the movie is stupid, but I love it. It's a great, fun, dumb movie. So yeah, I can't think of too much else to say about it. Just a fun character, and I thought she did a great job in it. Natalie Wood in The Great Race. Oh my god, okay, so not only is the character awesome, I mean, this is like, when was this made? Like in the 60s or something like that? And it's about, I want to say the 30s and, yeah, I want to say like the 20s and 30s. You got the 60s and the 20s, and this character is like a super strong feminist. Like, she's fighting for the vote, and she's trying to be emancipated, and she's trying to, you know, go out there and say, you know, come on, women, you know, out of the kitchens, into the workplace, and so on. But she's not annoying. I think there is something about any cause, I mean, any cause at all, when you constantly get the wagging finger. I think there's something about, you know, well, we're not there yet, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, and there's only so much bawling out somebody can hear, when really what you want is that you do want acknowledgement of the problems, but you also want a celebration about what's good about your cause. And that's why I love Natalie Wood in this. She's so smart, but she's also so charming, and she's so optimistic, and she really believes it, and she's constantly smiling, and she's loving what she's doing. She's so enjoying fighting for this cause because she knows who she is, she knows what she's fighting for, and she knows it's a good thing, and she has this thought that they're going to win. It's like, yes, it'll take a while, but we're on our way. It's gonna happen because she is so certain about her cause, and she's so certain about herself. There's that great confidence in that character. With her, there's just this great celebration of who she is and what she's fighting for. They always give her these really fun, outlandish outfits. I remember there's one where they're in the cold, and she's wearing sort of this Eskimo outfit, and yet somehow this curl still comes out of the side. And it's always there. It's always like, you know, it's not something that naturally sort of happened. It's somebody had to gel it up or something, and it's really funny. And yeah, it's sort of this, she's sort of this really big, great celebration of femininity, and Natalie Wood is wonderful. This so easily could have been just an annoying performance. It could have been someone who did nothing but, you know, complain and wave the finger, but she just has this lust for life and what she's doing that it's irresistible. Natalie Wood in that movie, man, she's great. Michelle Pfeiffer from Batman Returns. This is a totally different Catwoman from the comics, the cartoons, the TV shows, any other Catwoman that's ever been done before. So I know it's not following like the original vision. But with that said, this version I think is awesome. I love just how friggin' crazy she is, but I also love how driven she is. I think it's the contrast of who she was against who she's become and what she's trying to be. You know, she doesn't even know what she's trying to be. She's just falls out of a building and she just wakes up, and how do you accept that? How do you treat that? How do you know? And it just obviously just totally went to her head and she went insane, but it's that struggle between sanity and insanity. And, you know, sort of good and evil and where you lie, and but at the same time not being taken advantage of. Oh, it's just a great character. Michelle Pfeiffer plays it great. That outfit, good God. is pretty damn attractive. I like it because you can look at it, you don't necessarily say like, oh, that's goth, or whatever. That's just like, there's definitely like a fetish thing in there. But I don't know, the little crosshatches, the little stitches across, those are so strange and so weird and kind of creepy and kind of offsetting, like a Frankenstein monster that was put back together, and that's kind of what she is, somebody who died and is brought back. So I love that. I mean, I just thought that was, so unique, and just very piercing to the eye when you just see those white stitches stand out. With Pfeiffer herself, the look, it's still very feminine because, they give her that really thick eyeshadow and the lipstick, all that stuff, but she's also kind of falling apart through the movie too, and the outfit's getting ripped up more, and, her hair's going crazy, and she's just kind of turning in more and more into this beast. I don't know, in terms of why that's attractive, when she first comes out, and she does the voice, the very seductive voice, like she's got stuff figured out and she's in control. She's just gonna do whatever the hell she wants. She knows what she does not want to be anymore, which is, her old self, the secretary taking orders and stuff. And I think when she comes out, she knows no more. I don't know what I want to be or what exactly I want to do or become, but I know it's not this. That is gone. Now I'm just gonna experiment and not give a shit what anybody thinks. I'm just gonna do what I want. And that's great fun. Again, I think it is a little bit of that confidence on taking a chance, just totally giving up on what anybody thinks. Pfeiffer herself, even when she's not like in the catsuit outfit, she just looks beautiful in this movie. The scene where she's dancing with Bruce Wayne and stuff, I mean, she just looks beautiful there. And she plays it so well. I mean, she is just... That same scene, I think that's her at her best when she's dancing with Michael Keaton there, and... there's a point where he's like, who the hell do you think you are? And she starts to break down, and it's like she's looking at him as a cry for help, and she says, I don't know anymore, Bruce. And then, like, as soon as, like, the camera pans over and you see the back of Keaton's head, and then it comes around, she's laughing like she was just never crying or never looking sad at all, and she's just, like, really giggling, really laughing. It's just so nuts. But, God, she does it so well. And I don't know. It's just... I'd be fascinated to know how that mind ticks, and but again, there's sort of that lost element that maybe somebody can help her, maybe Batman can help her find the way, because he's clearly kind of nuts too. He dresses up like a bat and everything, so he thinks that he can help her, but she might be too far gone. But is she not? And so I love it. It's a fascinating character. I love the take on it, and I just think it's awesome. Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones. Yes, Daenerys. She... No! I fucking love Daenerys. She is so awesome. She just takes everything, for her own, and she does it smart, and she listens to people, but she... she's also kind of learning, and when she learns something, it's like, she sticks by it, and it's Daenerys, the mother of dragons, man! I love how far she's come. I love what she started out as and what she has done with it. I love characters that can take something that was a disadvantage and just turn it into this unbelievable strength, and that's something Game of Thrones does so well. I love Daenerys, I love Tyrion, and I love Arya, because they've all done that. And that is just such strength, and it's just such something to respect, and I really love this character for that. I like a lot of people, I'm waiting for it to get going, like, okay, come on, let's, when are we really gonna start taking over the world here, just very, very slowly, but I still love her. I love watching her. I love watching her learn. I love watching her definitely be in control, be in power, but there is definitely this sympathy, when true wrong is being done. I love it when she takes all the people that they hung up, which was like, I want to say it was their kids, I think, going to this village, and it's to scare people off, and she takes every single one of them down, when going there, when taking over this village. But at the same time, it's like, it's just fueling the anger that's building up inside of her, and how she's gonna, like, teach this town a lesson. And it's great. She's obviously a badass, and you see her become a badass. I love how you take this situation where she's just with this brute, this brute king. I mean, just this, quote unquote savage, and she knows she can't defeat him. I mean, this guy's like just a fucking monster. So she tries to sort of psychologically, win him over, like, hey, I'm not just a prize, let's actually sort of work things out here. And she does it in the way the guy can understand, and she sort of starts to take control and sort of shows, like, this isn't so bad, we can work with it. And you just, so brilliantly, you see her win him over, but then genuinely fall in love with him. And it's this really... It's the stranger thing. It's like, how the hell do you have a romance, like an actual kind of believable romance, start with rape? I mean, that is how this starts. You see her do it, and you see step by step how she does it. And I love characters that can just start at the bottom and can slowly but surely build their way up. I mean, this is a problem when, like, someone, is a nobody and starts off as nothing, is suddenly given all this power, suddenly given all this attention. I mean, this is why you see so many child stars go... is that's not how it should be done. It's not quite earned. And it's not given the time to let the actions that you're doing sink in and to have you learn what works and what doesn't. And that's why I love stories like this, where you see them just start at such a horrible place to start and slowly get stronger and stronger and smarter and learn and make mistakes. I mean, there are definitely mistakes made. And she just... turns into something awesome and so powerful, but also, she's trying to fight for the right things. I mean, you see how awful this world can be. I mean, and just the tyrants that rule it, and she's, granted, very badass and having her dragons blow people up and, get her armies together, but there is still sort of this, she still wants to rule fairly, and she tells the people she's going to lead, I'm going to treat you with dignity and respect. So it's like, I really want to see this woman win. I want to see her win. She's just awesome. Fucking Daenerys. Daenerys rocks. That's all. Catherine Zeta-Jones from The Mask of Zorro. Yeah, I know. Big shock. I bet nobody saw this coming. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm so predictable. A lot of people were wondering when I was talking about the list, because everyone I told I was going to do this list, it's like, well, we know what's going to be number one, but is it going to be Chicago or is it going to be Zorro? It's Zorro because that was the very first time I saw her, and it is a fun character. It's a character who... was brought up in riches and being raised by the bad guy, but at the same time, can sword fight, can still sort of hold her own. Actually, something I really like is there is a line in the movie where, Antonio Banderas is trained by the original Zorro. And then he goes and he fights Catherine Zeta-Jones. She's been having the proper training since she was 4, she said. And so you would think it's like, well, how's this guy who's been trained, I don't know, a couple months, something really intensely, but still trained a couple months, how can he defeat someone who's been trained since she was friggin' 4? And he doesn't really. That's what I like about it, is she actually defeats him. But then when it gets to working without the swords, like, he has to use the objects around him and stuff, that is where she's defeated, and that makes sense. A person learning fencing wouldn't be taught, well, now you have to learn when you're going out being a vigilante to use other surroundings around you. That probably wouldn't be taught in fencing, or maybe it is, I don't know, but it's certainly taught much more to Zorro because he has to do it to, to survive, and do what he does. She doesn't. So I really like that, I really respect that. But that's not the only thing. And I know a lot of this is movie magic, because there is something about the way they did her makeup in this movie. She has never looked as good as she has in this movie. And Catherine Zeta-Jones is beautiful. I mean, she is just like, goddamn, you are fucking beautiful. You're unbelievable. By God. Even now, it's like, I know she's getting up there, but she still looks really good. And she's a decent actress, too. I think she, Chicago, she did all the singing and dancing, and I totally bought it and believed it. But yeah, I think the makeup job they did in this, there's a deleted scene in the Zorro DVD, and if you watch it, you see how it looks before the filters are put on. And you know the makeup plays a big part, because before the filters are put on and then the smoothing it out and whatever, she looks really weird. Not her natural face. I'm talking about the makeup looks really, really odd. Especially around the nose, there's this really weird thing they're doing. I don't know what it is. I'm not a makeup person, but it's definitely an effect. That's another reason why I said very much this is movie characters. You know, it's not the actresses themselves. I mean, they bring a lot, of course. Probably the majority, but it's still the characters, because I know it's a movie, I know it's an illusion, and I know the characters aren't real, and I'm attracted to the illusion of these people. Cary Grant, Peter Bogdanovich tells a story about how Cary Grant tried to get him in a party, you know, kind of crashing it, and the woman's like, name? And he says, Cary Grant, and she looks at him and says, you don't look like Cary Grant, and he says, I know, nobody does, not even me. And it's very true, you know, it's not even John Wayne can be John Wayne. It's like the image is just so, the illusion is so built up. So I get that. That's one of the reasons I very much want to make this, you know, characters, not the actual people, because I never met these people. But yeah, there's just this, that Zorro movie as well came at a time, I've talked about this before, where there was just, I want to say it was like Batman and Robin up to probably Zorro. Maybe, honestly, maybe a year after Zorro. Because Zorro was like the one movie, because there was a solid 3 or 4 years where we just never got a good summer movie. Summer movies were expected to suck. And we just accepted it. And it was awful. As this really was like, and movies go through lulls and hills and valleys, I get it, and production companies and stuff, but this was like really the dark times of summer movies. You know, and other, whatever, around Christmas and stuff, maybe some good movies would come out, but summer movies were just dead. I mean, they were fucking dead. And anyone that says, oh, summer movies are so bad nowadays, no. From Batman and Robin to whatever, I'm trying to think where the really big turning point happened. From Batman and Robin up until about 3 or 4 years after that, we had nothing but shit. And it was just expected we were going to go see our summer movies. They were going to suck. Nothing we can do. Maybe the internet's changed that. I don't know. But it was the discovery of CG, and it really sucked. And Zorro came out like the same year as Armageddon, Deep Impact, Perfect Storm, all that fucking shit. They were all terrible. And Zorro came out, and it was sword fighting, and it was stunts, and it was characters, and it was good story, and it was, you know, new people. You know, we never really saw Catherine Zeta-Jones before. We saw a little bit of Antonio Banderas, but he was up and coming. And the villains nobody saw before, and it was like the most refreshing movie. It was saying, yes, summer movies can be good again. And it was just, yes, like that was the big point. So, yeah, so you know, when she was just like that blooming, like that blossoming, that, hey, summer movies can be good again, and there can be new people you haven't seen before that can just win you over, and they can be talented, and they can be fun, and they can be energized, and they can be charming, and they can be romantic, and the romance in the film is very believable. And I like how she's kind of playing Zorro, you know, but she's also trying to stand by her father, who is kind of the bad guy too, and that chemistry in that movie between Zorro and her, it's just like, you know, oh my god, and the sword fight, it's just hot. It's hot. There's nothing else I can say about it. So, yeah, I still think Catherine Zeta-Jones is beautiful, and I think she's talented, but in terms of what's the movie that was just like, just blew me away in terms of just attractiveness and energized and interesting, and that's the one, man. That's just like, man, everybody was blown away too. Everyone, when that movie came out, was just like, who is this woman? We gotta figure out who this woman is, because this is like, she was so beautiful, it was like a punch in the face. I mean, it was like, where the hell did this woman come from? So, yeah, I'm sorry, no, I'm not sorry. This is why you watched the video. You wanted to see me gush. So yeah, it's It's Catherine Zeta-Jones, man. It's and that's the movie. You know, that's the movie where the illusion and the likability of the character and the movie and the scenario and the action and the visuals and everything just came together. And I really think she was one of the main centers of that explosion of the illusion. It's a very attractive movie. The movie, as far as action films go, it's one of the most attractive action movies because everything is in it. There's dancing, there's sword fighting, there's drama, there's comedy, there's beautiful people, there's ugly people, there's, you know, there's this grittiness to it. It's not for kids, it's not entirely for adults either, it's kind of for everyone, but it's turning into just this big praising of the movie, but really I'm talking more about the praise of the illusion. And that's really what this list, I felt, was. It's the praising of the illusion of what we want to be and what we're looking for. And yeah, I don't see any shame in that. I see no shame in talking about what draws you to a person, what are good traits, what are good qualities, what do you like visually, what do you like inside. I see no fault in talking about it. So, guys, that's my list. Who are some of the characters that you find attractive, whether it be TV shows or movies, whatever? And how much of it do you think is the actress, and how much of it do you think is the actual writing itself, or directing, or whatever? So leave in the comments below. Talk about it, because I think it's a fun thing to talk about. Even if you're a woman, talk about the guys you find attractive. You know, if you think it's the actor or the writing, directing, all that stuff, you know, explore, talk about it. Yeah, guys, that's about it. Next week, there'll be a new NC review, and it'll be a full review, won't be an editorial, and I will see you guys then. Take care. I forgot to mention, if you're gay or bi, also, go ahead and leave that below, too. You know, I didn't mention that in there, but you know what? I should. I definitely should. So, yeah, attraction is fun. Go ahead, leave your thoughts, talk about it, and what it is that attracts you to those people. So that's about it, and take care.